the chapel area. It's based upon the square feet of the chapel. They have 3 chapels proposed.
This page right here. Chapel, chapel. Where's the third chapel? Oh, yeah, one, two,
Right here.
chapels.
And with 3, you can have 3 viewing simultaneously.
But you only have seating for a certain number. As you can see, the seating is also governed by the occupancy standards of the building code. So they're producing the number of seats that's allowed by, and they would have to have a fire inspection. And so all I'm trying to do to you all is to provide you empirical data for you to
And I
make
get
your
you.
decisions. And then, as long as you are fully aware of the empirical data, then it's up to you to make those decisions.
And
Have you seen, by the way, have you visited the location?
Yes, sir, we did.
You'll notice that you'll notice that the building literally takes up the whole piece of property. I mean, literally, the building takes up the whole property.
So may I?
go ahead, Ms.
Yeah, so,
Irvin.
I've, obviously, I'm very concerned about what the citizens have to say. But I can also say that I'm also very concerned that we are being fair to our, business persons that come in the city that have met the requirement, that are doing what is necessary. As long as the business owner and the citizens can work together, I don't see why this can't happen. If they are making arrangements, parking is the biggest issue, and I get that, I know the property myself, and I get your point, Mike, that it's at the northern heightened point of the corridor, but, I mean, are we to not have, why are other businesses, it was vacant for a very long time. And you know that, if we all live here, you know that, it's been vacant for a very long time. So are we gonna penalize someone else that's willing to take up the opportunity, as long as they're willing to, work with the residents of the area?
And-
I do agree that, there should be no parking, and I hope that whatever code enforcer, the police is here, that maybe there's some scheduling done, that during the hours that there are code enforcements over the weekend that are monitoring this. I don't.
It doesn't exist.
Right, but
I
at the
mean,
same
everybody
time,
does.
we need, I'm also a business owner
I-
and a
and-
resident of the city of
and
North
I hear-
Miami. And we have to be, I mean, what is it that the applicant, it seems to me that the applicant is trying. The only thing that I would have probably want to ask the applicant, did he take out the time to meet with the association and to explain and express his vision, and to assure them that he would actually make sure that they are not interfering with the quality of life as they are accustomed? That would be, but
But
to.
wouldn't you
to-
think, Mary, but wouldn't you think, knowing the volume of funeral homes, and we know, because I live, and somebody said that, do we need one more funeral home? We've got 10 within 3 miles. Wait a minute,
I
let me
understand,
finish,
but this is
let me
America.
finish,
You can't
Mary.
tell
Wouldn't you think, wouldn't you think, Mary, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't you
Ms.
think
Fenelon
that
que-
somebody would go and know that it was a high volume business, okay? And you would know, and you would go and see that that the building on the land occupies 95% of the property. You immediately know you have a parking problem, immediately. And then you wanna do a parking agreement across the street for the studio, that when you buy it during the day, it's half full
They
all
have
the
their own
time.
issues. Ms. Fallon,
So-
I think you have something to say.
I
We'd
know,
like to
well,
hear you.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I say something?
One,
one
Hold on,
second.
please.
you know, I have some concerns, and I hear what Madam Estime says. I hear what Mike is saying, and I've definitely heard a lot from the residents. I guess one question I have, because obviously the biggest issue is this parking. You know, do we have someone here from Audio Vision Recording Studios to actually
They
speak?
just
'Cause
submitted
I
their letter.
saw a letter, but it makes me, pardon me?
They weren't required to be in attendance.
No, I know they're not required, but it would have been good, I think it was a good step on the parts of the funeral home to have the Exhibit D, which is the letter, but it would have been nice to have them here in order for us to could ask them about the parking that they would be providing, because there's some conflict. We have the funeral home saying that it's never used. The audio-visual vision place never has any any issues with parking. They're always empty. Then we have the residents saying
well as board
something
members.
different, right? So there's a conflict there. They could have helped us to let us know that how many events they have, when there might be conflicts, what kind of arrangements you actually made, to be sure that they don't say today on July 30th, 2018, when they wrote this letter, oh, yeah, you can use our parking, and then as soon as we're done with all of this on August, 16th, 2018, they say, I'm sorry, we're not going to abide
Right.
by that
And
anymore.
Madam Chair, I would have to say that this letter is not sufficient to constitute an agreement, and
Okay.
that we would require a more formal agreement
To be signed.
if you're gonna approve it as a condition of approval.
And I
And
have
then-
just one thing that I'd like to say, and I know Ms. Love mentioned about doing something with code enforcement. And as I stated, this is something that usually in the evening, and our code enforcement currently do not work evening. And I don't want it to become an issue for our police department. Okay, one of the things that I remembered we did with that other funeral home, because of the size, because of the fact that we know they had issues with parking, we made it a thing where if they were gonna have a huge funeral, they needed to have it at their other location or something like that. And from what I'm hearing, it's probably not the case that's happening. And now we're starting with a funeral home that will have the ability to have three, not just three chapel, but three eve services at the same time, which is of a concern. So, I don't know.
May I?
So
Go ahead. Ms. Hill, then Ms. Esther
Sure,
Irvin,
sure.
because she's
Okay.
been holding.
That's okay.
Sure.
I have a question and then I have some comments. I just want to verify that this property is in the Arts Overlay District. Okay. So, of course, I am very skeptical about the parking. I think our code, our LDRs, is insufficient. And I don't think it's wise to okay a project based on insufficient LDRs. I think that's just not good policy. I think the proper procedure would be to fix the LDRs to account for some of this vague kind of projects that don't fit into a classic model. There is not sufficient parking for a funeral with 6 parking spots and then 15 potential parking spots that aren't guaranteed at the recording studio. So I don't feel that that's sufficient parking. I also understand what happens when a business is opened without sufficient parking spaces within the confines of a residential neighborhood. What happens at that point is cars habitually park on the swales, and what happens when they park on the swales is the grass dies, the gravel underneath the grass gets hardened, and the runoff from the road floods the street. That is a classic case of parking on the swales, and that is why in the city of North Miami, we're really trying to get away from that because we have severe flood issues on our streets. So the responsible thing to do is to stop providing opportunities for this scenario to play out and make sure that if we're approving a business, they have the sufficient parking that will prevent them from having to park on the sides of the neighborhoods. I also think that it's important to give respect to all of the people who have planned the renovation of our city, including the Arts and Overlay District. We have a design that we want to bring to our city, and we have to be mindful of our opportunities to do that. If we want to really encourage the arts, we have to prepare the way for those opportunities to come. And I do think that we have to take into consideration oversaturation of businesses. And I don't think that's undemocratic. I think it's good planning. We already do that with hair salons on 125th. You know, some really great people have come to us and asked if they could bring in a hair salon on 125th. And it's not that we don't like them. It's not that their business plan is any different than the business plan of other ones that exist there. It's just that we're trying to regenerate North Miami. So we have to be strategic about it. And at some point, unfortunately, we have to say, no, we can't keep having the same businesses because that doesn't provide that regeneration or rejuvenation. So for those reasons, I just can't. One other reason is I really believe that businesses and residential need to be in harmony with each other. If we were to approve this tonight, it may not be us that's going to hear the constant complaining and the constant disharmony, but it's going to be code compliance. It's going to be the city manager's office. Trust me, I know all about this because I'm a very active member in my own homeowners association, and we've had disharmony with businesses in my neighborhood as well. So I think it's really important that we be mindful of the cooperation of people who have purchased their house and invested their lives in North Miami, as well as the people who want to do business here. We would love to have you here, but that's just not the location that I think would fit all of our desires in the way that we want to see our city run. So I do not support this project, but I do hope you find a different location that fits the need, that will not be disruptive to the community that already exists there. So thank you.
Ms. Estime Irvin, and then Mr. McDermott.
So, I guess I'm in somewhat of a disagreement with my colleagues. I'm in disagreement with my colleagues, and for the reason that, for example, Laura, you've mentioned the LDRs. I understand that they're outdated, but this is what we have now. And if somebody's coming to us now, and within reason, and if we can, what we can do, then these are the rules or the regulations or that's what we have now. In terms of it being an art district, listen, I love the fact that it's an art district, but I have also it has also been vacant for many, many years. Are we at, you know, and there are opportunities for, why didn't somebody else take an opportunity to, so I just don't want us to be in the habit, it's just, if you were in this situation, if you were a business owner and you were doing this and you have done everything that is, how would you feel? And again, I live here. Everyone knows that I love this city. With all my heart, I have a heart spot for residents. I'm an advocate. Everyone knows that. So it's not, and I want the harmony between the citizens and the business owner. But at least again, I've mentioned, I don't know if there was a talk, and I wish there would have been a talk so that you can, it's not so much that I'm advocating for a funeral, and I get the point that there are a lot. It's not. It's just the principle of a business person comes and wanted to do, if it was an animal, if it was a vet clinic or whatever it was, it would have been, this would have still been my same argument. If this was an art gallery and they're having a show, this would have still been my same argument. Based on staff recommendation, there are adequate parkings. Realistically, we know that there'll be some conflict, but can we work with that? What are we doing to make sure that those issues are worked out? Now, if those issues cannot be worked out, I get it, but they're making efforts. Can we maybe table this? Can we table this, allow them to go ahead and see if they can talk to the condos association, talk to other businesses that are around that would accommodate the parking? Is that something that we would consider? I am very concerned about the parking, but if they're going to have that, I hear that Ms. Love said that they are going to have parking attendants that's going to, was that correct? Direct the traffic and organize. If that could be coordinated very well. You know, so let's give them an opportunity to work with this. If it doesn't work out, then we can vote it down. But I would suggest, and I'm actually making a motion.
But,
When would you
we
vote it
can't-
down? This
I
is a
mean,
one-shot deal.
There's
Oh,
no
it's-
opportunity
so-
to vote it down,
I
because
mean,
once you
give them an opportunity to go and find proper agreements for
You
the
could
parking.
make that
we do
motion
that?
if you'd like.
That's what
I
I'm saying.
personally feel like we need to make the decision here and now. but-
Yeah, because,
since I'm next?
I'm sorry, I forgot you were next.
Oh, okay. First off, I think, Mary, that's a wonderful thing, but it's a very burdensome thing, okay? To try to coordinate with code enforcement that doesn't work on days and weekends. The homeowners who have already said they're against it. The saturation of the area, the fact the fact that it's in the art zone. We have plenty of people that are coming into the city all the time looking for spaces. I think Debbie knows that, and I know Sam Blatt always talking about, they can't find places for people. So that place will go to somebody. But I think with all the things that have been mentioned here, the parking, the saturation, the code issues, and everything else like that, I just think that it would be a monumental task to try and really coordinate anything. And there's lots of other places that they could possibly go. I just think it wasn't really thought out. And with all that said, I'd like to make a motion for denial.
I will second that motion.
Was
Is that
that,
a motion?
was that a motion? I'm sorry, before anything, Ms. Love would like to say something.
My understanding is they own the property. It's not an option for them, like they're renting, so they already purchased the property. So I just want you to know that in your conversation.
And can I say something? Can I say something else?
For
Quickly.
public hearing is closed.
It is closed, okay.
Yeah. So it's just board discussion. And I hear what you're saying. I'm not against businesses, but I just look at possibilities. Yes, our code says this, but we have to use common sense. Then common sense is, if we're going by chairs, but for those chairs to be filled in or filled up, people have got to get their bodies over there. So there will be cars. And when we're looking at 3 chapels and 3 funerals at the same time, hey, look, I'm all about it. I'm gonna need it, but, to me, it's an issue. And I don't want our police department to have to go and deal with the problem that's gonna be when people can't find parking, and Lord knows with what. Stand your ground, next thing you know, you've got people who are, and they've pulled guns at funerals,
But why-
at wakes.
But why are we assuming that
No,
will
I'm
happen?
just saying, people get excited, people get, upset over a simple parking space, and things happen. And we're creating issues, Mr. Attorney, I know you're dying to say something, go ahead.
So to clarify the record and from the applicant, there is only one chapel.
Oh,
Why does it say
why does it
differently?
say 3?
Well, I think it was 3 viewing rooms.
Actually, it just says chapel area 1, chapel area 2, chapel area 3. Sorry,
So my,
and 1 casket
I-
display area.
Okay, so how many viewing will they have at one time?
So it's one room divided into 3 sections with chairs. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, maybe, come on up. Answer the
Yeah,
question.
we only have one chapel for one viewing.
you can also
We don't have
impose a
anything to
restriction
prohibit.
that there only be one
There
viewing and
must
one
be a
service
mistake.
at a time.
And also, I want to say that the studio, I only see 2, 3 cars over there. I can take pictures to show you. But I don't know, whoever say they see so many cars there, it's not true.
I think.
Not done all day long, guys. Funerals are done within hours.
Guys, hold
Right,
on,
let's
hold
be
on,
fair.
hold on, I don't wanna lose this, and I need, okay? Whatever's gonna happen with your agreement with the parking has to be put together like a formal contract, when it will be, the days that it will be, from what time to what time. That needs to be done. And I wanna make sure that it is one viewing, since they said it's one viewing and one funeral at a time.
Does anybody remember, Madam Chair? through
Sure.
Ms. Love, what were the operating hours?
It's on there, 8,
8 to 6
8
Yeah.
a.m.?
to 6,
To 6 PM.
Yes, ma'am.
So that means after 6 PM, there would be no service. Is that my understanding?
No service or no viewing?
No,
Neither.
neither.
Right,
Neither.
The
so
operation's
the
in at
operation
6
hour-
o'clock.
From 8 AM to 6 PM.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
And
gonna
that would
have no
be-
services whatsoever after 6 PM, Monday through Friday, or on the weekends.
Not according to our letter of intent that we received
Okay.
from the applicant.
Okay.
So that excludes
7
weekend,
days a week.
right?
Yeah,
So just Monday through
No,
Friday?
no, ma'am. It's
7 days a week.
Oh, 7 days,
a week,
okay.
8 to 6.
But not
Okay.
in
So
the
that
evenings.
means none of their viewing,
Okay.
nothing will take place after 6 PM.
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if
Uh,
I may,
yes,
just to
Mr.
reiterate, we
Cook.
do have a motion that has been presented by Mr. Dememe and second by Ms. Hill.
Okay, what was your
To
motion,
deny.
Mr.
Motion to deny.
McDear made? To deny. Okay, seconded by Ms. Hill. Okay, so, roll call.
Mr. Dememe, Ms. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Philonon,
I guess no.
To deny.
Yeah, no.
Ms. Irvine,
No.
Ms. Philippi,
No to deny.
the motion fails,
Now, let's go
3 to
for,
2.
Yes.
Right.
I'll
So
pass the gavel.
Right, so I'd like, sure.
Yeah, and my motion would be to allow with the conditions, which is 1 funeral service or viewing at any given time, okay? 2, that they present a binding agreement for parking. 3, that they should have their, guards or whoever to get parking assistance, attendants to make sure that they are not going into the residential neighborhood or into the condominium across from them. As a matter of fact, I would recommend, since that's part of one of the recommendations in there, is to close that Northeast 10th Avenue exit. So this way, they're coming right into that other street. It would be West Dixie and yes. Okay? And I think that covers
The access at West Dixie and at 134th, and close the access
on 10th.
and make sure they actually have access there.
Exactly.
They do. There's a driveway right off 10th Avenue right into it.
West Dixie, there's no access on West Dixie.
Yeah, there is. It's right, there's 2 driveways right into right into the facility.
Yeah?
It's actually not-
Entrance and come out.
It's actually not supposed to be there, by the way.
Well, it's there.
It's there.
I understand. It's not
Okay.
an official one because DOT wouldn't approve that,
Yeah.
but it's one that they're,
Okay.
have happened over years.
And that they maintain their time of Monday through Friday from 8
8
to 6. And nothing's happening after 6 PM.
I thought it was 7 days.
7 days, 7 days.
7 days,
Right,
Yeah.
but
7
nothing
days a
after
week,
6
nothing
PM.
after 6 PM.
Right.
Are you doing this for them?
It's closed, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay? Okay, all right. Guys, we heard you. We've taken this in consideration, please. Public hearing has been closed. Now, that's the motion. That's the motion. Do I have a second?
You gave them the second bite, you gotta give them the second bite.
Okay, we have to have order, else we won't be able to
on.
continue the meeting. And it's all in everybody's best interest to continue the meeting, so we really need to have everyone cooperate with the rules of the meeting, and we can continue.
Madam Chair,
Uh,
and since we allow them to re-speak, they should do that.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it's appropriate.
She's chair.
That's it. That's the motion. And if the motion doesn't have a second, then it dies for a
A
second.
second.
Do I have a second?
There's a second.
Okay. So with that being said, roll call.
Ms. Felipe,
Yes.
Ms. Irvine,
Yes.
Ms. Felon,
No.
Ms. Hill,
No.
Mr. May.
Okay. That's
I'd
it.
like to put my own motion, I guess. I believe that we don't have enough information. And so I really believe, because like I said, the audiovisual vision, we already said we don't even have an agreement here. So I think that we need to, I'm hearing that they've already purchased the property and that is their intent to have this funeral home. I think we need to definitely have more information before we make this decision.
So it's a motion to
So-
continue.
So I think I'm putting in a motion to continue.
Second.
So the question would be till the next meeting or 2 months? The
I would say give
question,
them
is
two-
there a
What-
staff recommendation on how much time you would need to review more
What
information?
happens in between this meeting and that meeting that will change the scope of the conversation?
There would be more information brought in.
Whatever information, I'm sorry, whatever information the board is seeking. For example, you're interested in hearing more from audiovisual themselves, you're looking at seeing an agreement, whatever else you all are seeking. We'll
Per-
make sure that
person-
happens.
Madam Chair, if I may, personally, what I'd like to see is, I'd like to see that the business owner and the condo association sit down and have a talk, and both of you come to some type of a compromise, and as business owners, please, there are residents there, I understand how they feel, and then as residents of the city, you know, just consider a business person that's coming into your community, and that could be providing services, other services that you may need. But anyway, I just would like at least a conversation to be had. And then I would like to piggyback off of making sure that we have options. Obviously, you hear that the parking is an issue. Do your homework. You know, we have continued this. Please do your homework, because if parking is still an issue, personally, I would not be in favor of this.
Ms. Falon, can I make a friendly amendment to your motion?
Sure.
That we come back in 3 months, let's put a time frame on it, 3 months. That should allow everybody to do what everybody wants them to do, meet with people and that kind of thing.
Are we meeting monthly now?
As long as we have things for you, you're scheduled.
Okay.
So you do have a standing meeting, and whether we have something or not.
So is
We'll
that
let
the
you know.
November meeting? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah.
September, October, November?
Would that, I mean, I guess I would like to know if that's gonna be
That's it.
enough time, you know, Ms. Estimates just told you you have homework to do. Are you gonna be
So-
ready with your assignment, you know?
We want
Is that
information
enough
30
time?
days in advance, the meeting,
Okay.
right?
Please come to the mic.
All right.
No.
It's over. The only thing we're asking them is, and you would like to add the 3 months, is that okay? Can they do it? And I guess whether or not it's okay, if we want to accept 3 months,
Right.
and
That's all.
we're tabling it for 3 months, and that's it.
Because
Okay.
one
So
of those,
motion
one
to
of those
continue.
months has to be the period of noticing and advertising, so it's actually only
That again.
2
2
months.
months.
Okay.
Technically.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
if you continue to a date certain, you don't necessarily need to re-advertise. But
Right.
if you need, staff has advised me that they need the information 30 days in advance of the hearing.
Okay.
So it's really like a month and a half to collect it, prepare it, and then submit it to staff, and then they review it and determine whether it's adequate.
Okay. All right,
I think that's a
I'll
motion.
Three
second, I'll
months.
second that motion.
All right, so the motion is to continue for 3 months.
Until the November meeting.
Until the November meeting, okay. And you have a second from Ms. Irvin. Okay,
And
Well-
one last thing, if there isn't a November meeting, we would re-advertise
Right.
for whenever that next
Okay.
meeting after that would be.
Okay.
all right.
Excuse me, Ms. Chair, may I get a clarification on the motion?
The
Ms.
motion,
Farallon, who made the motion, it was seconded by Ms. Irvine, or was it Mr. Madeirme?
no,
No,
the,
I seconded.
Seconded by
the
Ms.
amendment.
and Mr. McDermott added a friendly amendment to the original motion.
Okay. Okay, for the 30 days. Okay. Ms. Farallon,
Yes.
Ms. Irvin,
Yes.
Mr. Madire,
Yes.
Ms. Hill,
No.
Ms. Philippe.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Okay, so you guys gotta go ahead, do your homework, meet with staff, and we'll see you in November.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Ooh,